I actually wanted to also have another highlight created here for this shape. So I'm going to go back to that clip group, and I'm going to select the clipping group itself. And by the way, this is also something to keep in mind when you start using Draw Inside and you start creating clipping masks, that if you have already a clipping mask, you won't just be able to quickly select it by clicking anywhere on it. So like this shape here and this shape are both clipping masks. And as you can see, if I just click on them, I can't select them directly. While, for instance, this one, which is just a normal object, or the hand, I can easily select. The legs are clipping masks or clipping groups. So again, I can only select them by clicking on their outlines. So that's just something to keep in mind. Again, this shape, I had to click on the outline. And actually, from the layers panel, I can select directly the clipping mask itself, and then choose Draw Inside from the toolbar, and then use an ellipse. And I actually wanted this to be something like this. So this section here, I want to be yellow. And the good thing is that we can actually put this underneath the shading. So this way we still have the shading visible, but this highlight that we added here on the top can be now easily adjusted. So I can drag it up a bit, maybe drag it out this way, drag that one down as well. And then we get that curve that I was looking for. So her right shoulder is in the sun, and that's just looking brighter. I'm going to go back to Draw Normal. And now it's probably time to draw the head. So I'm going to draw first the neck. This is just a simple shape going down like that. And the base color of this is going to be pink. For now, I'm going to turn off the background color just to make it easier to draw this. Send it all the way to the back. And then let's use Draw Inside on this again. For a clipping mask, I will use the pen tool and set up the shading this way. So this I want to be dark. This section, I'll set this to the darkest color that we have. And then I'm going to draw a white outline here for the highlight or rim light. And then maybe I would draw another line running down here, which is going to be this darker red, and this can go underneath the shading. Now the white outline will only show once we have the background, but we will see that later. Now let's draw the face. So for this, I'm going to start drawing up here, create the jaw, and we can actually zoom a little bit closer. Come up here. I'm going to use an outline for this just so we can see better what we are doing. Oh, and I noticed that we started drawing this inside the clipping mask, so I'm going to go back to Draw Normal, because this is supposed to be drawn outside. So we can draw this. I just copy pasted in this detail. So we have the nose detail coming out here. I'm planning to draw this all with a single line. Going up like that. Okay, we won't actually see the eye, so I will draw that later. Okay, it's not looking that great yet, but I will add more detail on it later. I'm just going to keep this simple. And I will set this one to also be pink, the fill, no stroke needed. And then I'm going to use Draw Inside, and then I will just draw a white rectangle here. So set the fill to white. Let's just bring back our background so we can see what we are doing. And then I'll draw another shape for the nose. Just want this to be shaded like that. I was using the pen tool for this. I will use this darker red. And maybe we should have also a highlight here for the jawline. For this, I'm going to use the pen tool once more and just come and run down here along the edge and fill it in with the darker red color. like that. Can adjust this a bit. Doesn't have to be perfectly following the edge. Something like that. It's hard to see it at this point. You can see it without the sketch. And maybe let's just adjust things a little bit here. Have a little bit more roundness there. And also I will go back to the actual outline of this clipping mask. And I will round the chin down a bit. Like that. Okay. Now once we have the hair, it will make more sense what we are doing here. So let's start drawing the hair details. So for the hair, I imagine this very minimal design, just a few strands of hair defining how it looks. And I will probably only use 2 colors or maybe 3. So let's try to keep things very minimal. I'm going to start up here to draw the first darker detail that runs down, defining this angle. So that can come down here and then go back up, staying close to that curve, and then nicely closing up here on the top. And let's set this to this darker color, and then we just have to make sure that this is in the right layer. It actually ended up going in the background layer, but I'm going to drag it up and make sure it's moved all the way to the top. Now let's refine this a little bit. So I want nice smooth transitions here. I don't want the direction handles to overlap the path itself. That's when you get interruptions. Here as well, I would like this to be coming down a bit further. Yeah, that's looking good. Now I'm going to draw the next detail. We can draw this one up here. Like that. This can be straight. Coming down, I will already set this up so we can see the color that I'm adding. And I think we can come down here and then curve it. That's one line. Then we can draw another one coming this way. Can overlap a bit like that. Come back down. Close to the other shape, but not overlapping it. This time coming down here and close it. Okay, and this should be again going in the right layer. I'm not sure why it's adding always in the background layer. I'm just going to lock that background layer so we don't accidentally keep drawing things there. I can move these 2 shapes up here on the top. Now it still looks very weird, but I'm going to now add the highlight. So this is the one that's going to define the top of the head. Just going to draw around it here. Let's go up there. Draw down a bit. Something like this. Come down all the way here. Then let's define this angle here. Go behind this shape. Then come out a bit this direction. And then this is the front of the hair. It's important to get this curve right. And let's set it to white and set it to the back. Just like that. Now I can refine this path a bit. Have that angle move this way a bit. And I feel like this shape needs to be refined here. So maybe this one can come up to be aligned. And then go down that way. Yeah, that looks good. This shape can also come up a bit higher. And the nose can be curved up a bit as well. Just drag this up slightly. That can move up as well, the shading. Creating more of an angle. And for the mouth, I want to probably have these a little bit higher. Maybe even higher, these couple of points can come up here. And then this detail here, the shading can go underneath the front white bit. So let's take a look at this without the sketch. Yeah, it's coming together. It's a very minimal design for the head. Like I said, with the sketch, I can finish off just adding maybe 2 more shapes here that will define the back. maybe 3. We'll see how much we need. First, I will start drawing this with the darker color. There's our next shape running up there that defines that silhouette. And then maybe come down here, go up again and close it off with a nice curve. Then we can have another shape running out this way. Like that. And then finally maybe one last shape, which I'll bring down here. And then close it off like that. So what you can see here is that I always kept in mind the outline of that original sketch, but I tried to simplify it as much as I could. So I have the highlights here, the shading here on the left. Generally, this would be an outline that you can draw with one path, and then you can draw these shapes inside it. But sometimes I like to have that freedom of not being restricted by a clipping mask. So I can easily move these shapes around outside of it and judge it later if I want these shapes to come out in a certain angle or not. So although clipping masks are great, it can sometimes feel a bit limited to be working them. So like even this shape, I can independently move to the left a bit if I feel like that defines the shape of the head better. And for the mouth, I feel like we need a little bit more definition here. So I will round this shape up and also maybe round this detail a bit more, and then this section can actually be moved up a bit more like that. Yeah, that looks a bit softer. And let's look at this from a distance. It is coming together. I will introduce some shading on the hair later, but for now I am happy with the way this looks. Maybe we can have just one more shape running down here. Just define this section of the hair. Again, set with the dark color. Like that. Okay, and maybe this can be moved down a bit here. Yeah, I feel like that's a good little detail there. Now these points here can be turned into sharp corners. I created them as soft curves, but I'm not sure if that was a good idea since all the other details have sharp corners. So let's just take a look at this from a distance. And of course we can still use the pen tool, hold down the Alt or Option key and add some curves on these, on the sides of it, but the corner point stays. And I feel like that's helping to make it look more interesting. Yeah, I like this, but maybe this point can come down a bit just to have a good distribution of detail. Like I said, very minimal way of indicating hair.